Oh, okay. Welcome to Scotting Movies, and today we're also having Hollywood movies. Um, so Scotting Hollywood movies. I have a guest with me for the first time, Holly, my sister. I now have all three of my siblings on podcasts. So, um, so Holly, welcome to talking about movies and doing deep dives into movies. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. We're doing today we're diving deep into a movie that made a lot of technical achievements, made a lot of groundbreaking animation and live action integration, talking about Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It isn't just an entertaining ride, which it is, but it's also a groundbreaking achievement in cinematic history. So before we get into it, just gonna give a plot overview in case you haven't seen it. But it's set in 1947 LA, and Eddie Valiant is a grizzled private detective who's hired to investigate a scandalous rumor surrounding Jessica Rabbit, the wife of Toon star Roger Rabbit. But when the head of Toontown's parent company turns up dead, Roger is framed for the murder, sending Eddie on a dangerous quest to uncover the truth. What follows is a wild ride through a world where cartoons and humans coexist, not always harmoniously. Uh, that's the synopsis for Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So first of all, let's talk. Let's see. Let's start with the performances. Holly, you were mentioning it at at the beginning off screen, but turn it over to you for a couple of performance analyses from you.
Okay, yeah. Bob Hoskins, I think he did an amazing job playing Eddie Valiant. Um, I feel like when he's reacting to the other cartoons, and playing along with them, you feel like the cartoons are really there. I read in some trivia on IMDb that he actually started to hallucinate Roger Rabbit as he was acting. And then he actually did not take another job for another year after the movie was finished because he was having the hallucinations still, which is pretty insane. But I mean, go Bob Hoskins, I guess.
I, I guess that's a very different rabbit on the shoulder than Harvey. So, that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He carries this movie. I mean, it's no playing Eddie Valiant is no small task, and he had to act alongside things that weren't there,
Mhm.
and actually have to play alongside and interact with things that weren't interacting with him. I mean, you get that today with a lot of green screens, but it was different back then because there were no green screens. He he
Yeah.
he couldn't. He couldn't see something there. He had to just pretend that something's there. So it's no no surprise that he started hallucinating things. So uh, what's even more impressive to me is kind of how the character evolves. Obviously, he starts by tragedy because his brother is killed by a toon before the movie starts, and so he's an alcoholic. He's really gruff and everything. But then, as he bonds with Roger throughout the movie, we see him soften and we see him open up. And by the end of the movie, he's making a complete fool of himself by singing and dancing and using logic to beat hyenas and weasels and whatever they were, as well
I
as
think they're weasels.
Judge Doom. Yeah, it's a hilarious and triumphant moment. It's like he's fully embraced the chaotic spirit of Toontown, and it's really satisfying to watch.
It is. It's a lot of fun. And speaking of Judge Doom, Christopher Lloyd also did a really good job. He's good in everything he does. But
Mhm.
yeah, he did a great job as Judge Doom. He was very creepy. He was definitely the creepiest character in the movie. And he still creeped me out as, a 31-year-old watching this.
Yeah, he was kind of scary. He was uh, manic. Just brought a manic energy that he usually brings to a lot of his roles anyway. But this was heightened, probably by some of the editing, but still heightened by his own performance.
And he definitely had that uncanny valley feel about him. I heard or no, I read on, again, the IMDb trivia that there were some things he purposely did to bring that uncanny valley feeling to his character, which were like the false teeth.
Mhm.
I think he always wore gloves, everything to cover like his any skin.
Yeah.
And there were like a couple other things I don't quite remember what they were, but he wanted to bring that effect to the audience and make them feel like something was off with him, which there
Mhm.
definitely was.
Obviously, yeah. I don't know if we want to spoil anything, but yeah, there was definitely an energy surrounding him that made him feel a little less human. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the right word, but mm,
Yeah. He was just
the,
creepy.
yeah, the last performance would be Charles Fleischer, who voices Roger Rabbit. Obviously, it's not a performance that's on screen. He voices him, but he does such a great job. He voices many characters in the movie. It's not just Roger Rabbit. He does, but that's obviously the main one that he does, and that just brings a different kind of energy. Obviously, when you have to be a tune, um, and just trying to bring a manic once again, but this time kind of a positive, hilarious energy to the film, and the way that he brings like a blubbering mess to life. And my favorite scene in the maybe in the whole movie, comic wise, is when he has put the handcuffs on himself and Bob Hoskins, and when Bob Hoskins is trying to get the handcuffs off, he steps around and says, "Does this help?" He says, "You could have done that the whole time." He says, "Not whenever you want." He says, "No, just when it was funny." So
Yeah.
yeah, I loved Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. He was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay. So next part I want to focus on is from page to screen, because this book was originally based on or this movie was originally based on a book. It was called Who Censored Robert Rabbit, a 1981 movie or book. Man, I'm getting those two confused. 1981 book by Gary K. Wolfe. The novel was far darker. It leaned into its heavy noir feel, and there was no whimsical crossovers in this book that included like Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny and all that. Honestly, many in Hollywood saw this book as completely unfilmable. You couldn't bring it to screen; it was impossible to do. But leave it to Steven Spielberg. From Amblin Entertainment to turn that gritty detective story into this family-friendly adventure without even losing its edge. It retains all of the detective noir elements, but also layers in this humor and heart that maybe wasn't present in that original book. And the result is something that appeals to both adults and kids, blending slapstick comedy with genuinely compelling mystery adventure. And so the being able to rise above even the origin of the book was really impressive.
Yeah.
Lastly, and I left this for last on purpose, but so what makes Who Framed Roger Rabbit really revolutionary is how seamlessly it integrates the animation with the live action. Earlier films had done something like this. Mary Poppins had it, Bedknobs and Broomsticks had it, A Song of the South had it. So, I mean, it wasn't new to put animation with live action, but it was the way that it did it because previously, those three films, you basically slap animation onto onto the screen that you already had, and so it looks different. It looks like it's one little animation scene versus in a live action scene at the same time. Uh, it looks like two different scenes trying to put together. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was able to put those together, where you're not only do they interact, but the cartoons cast shadows. They cast shadows on the walls. And the shadows interact, and they do exactly what the characters are doing. Uh, that very first scene, which by the way is one of the funniest animation sequences you'll ever see, with Baby Herman and Roger Rabbit. But you're entering this really funny animation sequence, and then suddenly you break the fourth wall. You bust out, and suddenly you're on a film screen, a film stage, and immediately the cartoon characters are interacting with the things around them. The director pulls a bird off of Roger Rabbit's head and throws it on the ground. I mean, immediately this is different. This is a different
Mhm.
animation live action sequence.
You're
Uh,
definitely transported into
mhm.
this world where they interact together.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep in mind, there was no CGI in 1988. I mean, everything was done painstaking frame by frame animation, layered over live action film. Today, it's simple. You think of Marvel movies, they do this all the time now, and it's easy. But back then, Richard Williams, who was the animation director, won an Oscar. They at the time they didn't have animated best animated feature in 1988. That didn't exist, but they brought out a specific award for animation in that year and gave it to Richard Williams, who had done that for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, essentially giving Best Animated Feature to Who Framed Roger Rabbit in a year that that award didn't exist because of how good that was.
Yeah,
But
it was like a special award, right?
special achievement is what they called it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, how about you? What did you think? I mean, we've already talked about this a little bit, but the seamless integration between animation and live action and the groundbreaking reality of it. What did
Honestly,
you?
I think it still holds up today. Like obviously you can see like the lines around the animated characters and it's not seamless, it's not perfect in any way.
Mhm.
But it still holds up today. And I remember when I was watching it just a couple days ago, I was really looking at the objects that the animated characters would interact with, trying to see if I could find any strings that were pulling the mugs off the tables or something like that. And I could not see it. I think they did such a good job with integrating those two different I don't know, ways of filming, I guess.
Mhm.
And I remember when I was little and watching the movie, I thought the animated characters were real. I thought that maybe I could meet Dumbo one day or Bugs Bunny or whatever. And I just thought that was so cool. I wanted to meet them. And yeah.
It's like your own personal Disney World. You can go meet your own characters, but it's real, right? I mean, it's different when you're a kid. When you take a kid to Disneyland today, it's different than taking it as an adult. And the same thing of watching this kind of movie when you're a kid, because when you take a kid to Disneyland, it's Mickey Mouse isn't this guy in a costume. He's Mickey Mouse. He's right there in front of you. And so it's a different magic watching it maybe as a kid than as an adult because you're seeing a person that looks like a real person interacting with one of your favorite cartoon characters who in your mind is real.
hmm Yeah, yeah. It's so much fun. And speaking about Mickey and Bugs, Walt the Walt Disney Company, they said that they could use Mickey and Donald as long as they had the same amount of screen time as Bugs
Mhm.
and Daffy, which is why they are together in their scenes. And I thought that was super interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah. I really like that piano duel between
Yeah,
Donald and Daffy as well. And so, and
yeah,
there's just another integration when Donald pulls that cannon out. Not only does animation happen, but you suddenly see a cannonball go through the piano and
yeah.
like a real thing that goes through there, and everyone in the
Yeah,
audience
and
is,
the
oh my
piano
gosh.
like flips over.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought it was so cool.
yeah, that was
It was
great.
just so much fun. It's such a fun movie. It's like it has that mystery, it has that funny moments, but more overall, it's just so enjoyable to watch.
Mhm. Yeah. So in terms of a grade, giving this some grade on the screen, I haven't given this out yet with any of the 8 movies I've done so far, but in this case, I'm giving it an A plus. I don't think I think this film is one of, if not the best films that were made from this particular year that I'm delving into, 1988. I Not only is it fun, not only is it groundbreaking, but it is just a good film. So I'm giving it an A plus.
Yeah, it's a great film. It's as I said before, it's just so much fun to watch. I
Hmm.
agree. Hey.
Yeah. Cinematic marvel that stands the test of time. Absolutely worth a watch if you haven't seen it, or worth a rewatch if you haven't seen it in a few years. So that's it for today's episode of Scouting Hollywood Movies. Um, so let me know on your thoughts. Anyone out there who has seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit, if you didn't agree with it in particular, if you thought I didn't like that, because I know people who didn't. My wife Ashley didn't like this movie, so I know people are out there. I want to know why. So drop your comments, subscribe, like, whatever. And until next time, happy watching, and I'm sure Holly will join on a couple future films as well. But I'm gonna okay. Recording.